Listen to me very carefully. Right now, in this very moment, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to the same life you've been living, the same frustrations, the same disappointments, the same excuses. The other path? It leads to power. Real power. The kind of power that comes from taking complete ownership of your life. But here's what you need to understand. You can't walk both paths. You have to choose. And I'm here to tell you something that might be hard to hear, something that might make you uncomfortable, something that might even make you angry. Everything that's happened to you, every failure, every setback, every disappointment, it's on you. Now, before you click away, before you get defensive, hear me out, because what I'm about to share with you is the single most liberating truth you'll ever discover.
You see, we've been conditioned to point fingers. It's easier that way, isn't it? I didn't get the promotion because my boss doesn't like me. I'm not in shape because I don't have time to work out. I'm broke because the economy is bad. My relationship failed because my partner didn't understand me. I'm unhappy because of my parents, my childhood, my circumstances. We've become masters at finding reasons outside ourselves. And you know what? Some of those reasons might even be valid. Maybe your boss really doesn't like you. Maybe the economy is tough. Maybe your childhood was difficult. But here's the brutal truth. Valid reasons are still excuses. Every time you blame someone or something else, you give away your power. You hand over the remote control of your life to external forces. You become a passenger in your own existence, watching life happen to you instead of making life happen for you. Think about it. When you blame your boss, you're saying, my career success is in my boss's hands, not mine. When you blame your lack of time, you're saying, I'm not in control of my schedule. When you blame your past, you're saying, I'm a prisoner of what already happened. You're making yourself a victim. And victims don't win. Victims don't grow. Victims don't transform their lives. I've seen it over and over again. People with incredible potential, amazing talents, brilliant minds, stuck, absolutely stuck. Not because they lack ability, but because they've imprisoned themselves in blame. They've created an identity around their victimhood. I'm the person who had it tough. I'm the one who got dealt a bad hand. I'm the one who never got a fair shot. And as long as that's your identity, that will be your reality.
Now, let me tell you about a different kind of person. Someone who heard the same message you're hearing right now and made a different choice. There was a man who grew up in poverty. His father left when he was young. His mother worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table. He wore hand-me-down clothes and was mocked at school. By every measure, he had every reason to blame his circumstances. But one day, something clicked. He realized that every hour he spent being angry at his father was an hour he wasn't spending building his future. Every moment he spent resenting his poverty was a moment he wasn't investing in his growth. So he made a decision, a radical, life-altering decision. He decided from that day forward, everything was his responsibility. Not because it was fair, not because he caused all his problems, but because ownership was the only path to power. He stopped saying, I can't afford college because we're poor, and started asking, how can I earn a scholarship? He stopped saying, I don't have connections because of where I come from, and started asking, how can I build relationships with successful people? He stopped saying, I'm disadvantaged, and started saying, I'm determined. 20 years later, that man built a multi-million-dollar business, created opportunities for hundreds of people, and transformed his family's legacy forever. Not because his circumstances changed, because he changed. He took ownership. And here's what taking ownership really means. It means you're responsible for your response to everything that happens. Did someone betray you? You can't control that, but you can control how you heal grow, and protect yourself going forward. Did you fail? You can't change the past, but you can control what you learn and how you adapt. Were you born into difficult circumstances? You can't change your starting point, but you can control your direction. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, said it perfectly. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space, that's where ownership lives.
Let me show you what happens when you truly take ownership. First, you reclaim your power. When you stop blaming, you stop being a victim. When you stop being a victim, you start being a creator. You're no longer at the mercy of other people's actions or external circumstances. You become the author of your own story. Second, you accelerate your growth. Blame keeps you stuck in the past. Ownership propels you into the future. When you take responsibility for a failure, you extract the lesson. When you take responsibility for your results, you identify what needs to change. Every failure becomes feedback. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Third, you earn respect. People respect those who own their mistakes. People respect those who don't make excuses. Think about it. Who do you respect more? The person who constantly blames others, or the person who says, "That was my fault and here's how I'm fixing it"? Fourth, you inspire others. When you take ownership, you give others permission to do the same. Your accountability becomes contagious. Your courage becomes a catalyst. But here's where it gets challenging. Taking ownership is painful at first. It requires you to look in the mirror and say, "My financial situation? I made the spending choices. I chose the job. I decided how to invest my time. My health? I chose what to eat. I decided whether to exercise. I controlled my habits. My relationships? I chose who to trust. I decided how to communicate. I'm responsible for my boundaries." That's hard. That's really, really hard. It's much easier to say, "It's not my fault." But easy doesn't build empires. Easy doesn't create transformation. Easy doesn't forge champions. The moment you accept total responsibility for your life is the moment everything changes. Let me give you a practical framework. The ownership formula. Acknowledge the situation. See reality clearly without excuses. Accept your role. Identify what you controlled or could have controlled. Extract the lesson. What can you learn? What would you do differently? Take action. What's your next move? What can you do right now? Every single time something goes wrong, run through this formula. Don't ask, "Whose fault is this?" Ask, "What's my responsibility here?" Don't say, "Why did this happen to me?" Say, "What am I going to do about this?" I'm not saying you caused everything bad that's ever happened to you. That's not the point. The point is that you're 100% responsible for what you do next.
Now, some of you are thinking, "But you don't understand what I've been through. You don't know my pain. You don't know how hard my life has been." You're right. I don't know your specific story, but I know this. There are people who've had it worse than you who have achieved more. That's not meant to diminish your pain. It's meant to show you what's possible. There are people who were abused who became advocates. There are people who were broke who became millionaires. There are people who were sick who became healers. There are people who were addicted who became counselors. There are people who were broken who became builders. The difference? They refused to let their past write their future. They made a choice, the same choice that's available to you right now. Stop blaming your parents for how they raised you. They did their best with what they knew. Now it's your turn to do better. Stop blaming your ex for breaking your heart. They're gone, but you're still here. What are you going to build now? Stop blaming the system for holding you back. Yes, there are obstacles. Yes, there's injustice. But waiting for the world to be fair before you start building your life means you'll be waiting forever. Stop blaming your age. You're either too young or too old. Colonel Sanders started KFC at 62. Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook at 19. Your age is not your limitation. Your mindset is. Stop blaming your education or lack thereof. Some of the most successful people in the world dropped out of school. Some worked their way through college. Your current knowledge is not your ceiling. Your willingness to learn is what matters. Here's a powerful exercise. For the next 24 hours, ban these phrases from your vocabulary. It's not my fault. If only they hadn't. I can't because. They should have. It's because of. Instead, replace them with I'm responsible for. What can I do about? I will. My next step is I'm learning to. Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how your perspective changes. Watch how solutions start appearing where you only saw problems before.
So what does this look like practically? How do you actually live this way? Start small. You don't have to take ownership of your entire life in one day. Start with today. Take ownership of the next hour. What will you do with it? It's yours, no one else's. Own your mistakes immediately. When you mess up, say it. I was wrong. That was my fault. Here's what I'm going to do differently. Watch how this transforms your relationships and your self-respect. Stop the blame spiral. When you catch yourself blaming, pause. Acknowledge the thought, then redirect. Okay, but what can I control here? What's my next move? Create a morning declaration. Every morning, before you do anything else, say this: today, I am responsible for my attitude, my effort, and my choices. I am the creator of my experience. I choose to be powerful. Find accountability. Surround yourself with people who won't let you play the victim. People who will call you out when you make excuses. People who will remind you of your power. Celebrate ownership wins. Every time you take responsibility instead of blaming, acknowledge it. You're rewiring years of conditioning. That deserves recognition. And here's the most important thing. Be patient with yourself. Taking ownership is a practice, not a one-time event. You'll slip up, you'll blame, you'll make excuses. That's human. But each time you catch yourself and choose ownership instead, you're building a new neural pathway. You're creating a new identity. You're becoming someone different, someone stronger, someone more powerful, someone who doesn't need perfect circumstances to create an extraordinary life.
So here we are, back at that crossroads I mentioned at the beginning. One path leads to blame, excuses, and victimhood. It's the path of if only, and it's not fair, and someday when things are different. The other path leads to ownership, power, and transformation. It's the path of I will and I can and starting right now. Which path will you choose? Because I promise you this, the moment you stop blaming others for what happens to you, the moment you take complete ownership of your life, is the moment you become unstoppable. Your boss can't hold you back anymore because you're building skills that make you invaluable. Your past can't haunt you anymore because you're creating a future that overshadows it. Your circumstances can't limit you anymore because you're finding ways to win regardless. You are not a victim of your life. You are the creator of your life. So stop waiting for someone to save you. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for permission. Take ownership, take action, take control. Your life is waiting for you to claim it. Now get up and go show the world what you're made of, because the only person standing between you and the life you want is the person staring back at you in the mirror. And they're ready to stop making excuses and start making history.